We continue our coverage of the sentencing of Derek Chauvin. It is happening today, and the former Minneapolis police officer could face more than 30 years in prison after being convicted of murdering George Floyd. Before that happens, the defense is expected to ask the judge for a new trial or probation. Joining me this morning with some legal perspective and analysis, Atlanta attorney and president of the National Bar Association and chair of the Rainbow Push Coalition, C.K. Hoffler. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, let's jump right into it. Let's look ahead for a moment. Tell us, what do you think we can expect during the sentencing later today?
Well, I do expect that this judge, in light of all of the circumstances, the aggravating factors that have been enumerated, is going to probably give Derek Chauvin anywhere between 15 and 25 years. And so that's what we can expect. We can expect that the defense will pull up a very, very rigorous case, that because he's a first-time offender, because he doesn't have a record, and because he's law enforcement and the like trying to paint him out to be sympathetic, that they should be lenient and that he should get probation. He's not a danger to society. He's not a danger to himself. And of course, the prosecution is going to be very, very, very aggressive and saying he needs the max. They're asking for 30 years, and they're going to cite a series of aggravated factors in this case. The lack of humanity, the cruelty, the fact that he's had his knee to his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. He never rendered medical service when obviously George Floyd needed medical attention, and that he did all of this in front of children. And I think that's going to be persuasive. And by the way, the judge has already said that there are these factors that are important in this case. So I think the judge is going to not be as lenient as the defense would hope.
So let's talk about this unusual move. I can't say that this is one that I've seen before. We have the Minnesota Attorney General asking the public to come out and submit those impact statements ahead of the sentencing, and we could expect some of those to be read aloud today. Do you think a move like that is going to have any impact on what Chauvin could receive?
I think they can. I mean, in a case like this, which is an unusual case, a case that rocked the nation, rocked the world, and has changed the way that we look at police brutality and excessive use of force, impact statements from the public who were indeed severely impacted in that community could have some type of weight, or should give weight to the sentencing. Because after all, it is that public, it is that community that has been most impacted, in addition to George Floyd's family, of course, by this heinous murder and by this excessive use of force by this law enforcement officer. So I think it is unusual. I think it is very creative, but every single thing about this case has been unusual and creative. And by the way, Keith Ellison should be applauded for assembling the team and for a successful outcome. So I think sometimes as a lawyer, you think out of the box, and it can really, really have an impact on the ultimate outcome of a case.
All right, now we know Chauvin didn't testify on his own behalf during the trial. Instead, he pleaded the fifth. Do you think he's going to take that opportunity to speak today during sentencing? What do you think?
I think he will, because there's not going to be any cross-examination. It's not going to be a question of him incriminating himself. He's already been convicted. And he will do that, I believe, or he should do that, out of an act of sympathy. But if he doesn't, it's probably because he doesn't feel that he can pull it off, because he's got to be sincere. He's got to be authentic. If he just says, look, I'm sorry, and stuff happened, I really wish it didn't happen, and he doesn't come off as being authentic and really sorry and really filled with regret for his crimes, because that's what they are, then I think it will backfire. But if he really feels it and they feel, his defense attorney feels that he can pull it off, then he probably will do a statement, because there's no downside to him making a statement.
Yeah, tone and delivery will be really important if he does. Thank you so much, CK. 11 Alive is staying on top of the latest information for you surrounding the sentencing. We're going to bring you updates on there and on 11alive.com.